And we are live right now. Sorry, we were just sending out the little notification and everything just to let people know we are live and we are tracking all these storms. And I'm going to just do a couple of uh, housekeeping items back here before we fully get into this. Hopefully, having a great start to your morning here. We know it's pretty loud out there for a big chunk of the area, even in northwest Arkansas, starting to hear some of that thunder out there this morning. So we are live and we are going to be tracking these storms with you this morning. It's pretty early here this morning. We've been here around the clock and overnight watching these as they're approaching from the west. Quite a bit of activity in central and eastern Oklahoma this evening, and we're taking a look at these storms here and just looking, kind of seeing how these are evolving, if they're going to maintain their strength once they make their way into the area, and just overall what the severity of these storms are going to be once we get into the next couple of hours here. So starting off here, and it looks like update to that warning there, still 60 miles an hour, and that one is for Adair and LaFleur County. So let's go ahead and check on the hail core tracker here real quick. And this one's making its way further into portions of Adair County, and let's see here real quick what that time is on this. So this one's making its way into Sequoia County, Adair County, some of those other areas, and just reading off to the side here how fast that's moving. 55, so it looks like it picked up a little bit. One thing I do want to highlight though, and I apologize, just kind of reading off to the side, getting a couple updates as we're going live here. So north of the community of Gore, there is a little bit of hail that we've been watching, and I'll just go ahead and highlight that for you there. Quarter size is the main concern with this, per the warning, but also we've had a couple of confirmations so far this overnight period over in eastern Oklahoma, and this was back in McIntosh County, and this was a quarter-sized hail report. So this has had a history of producing quarter-sized hail. This is a pretty strong storm. We're looking at a product behind the scenes that you're not able to see here, but this is a tool that we look at to see how tall the thunderstorms are. And one of these readings is showing still about almost 54,000 feet tall. So again, that is pretty tall for a thunderstorm. Even though this is kind of a jumbled up, messy looking little line of storms that we've got going on here, that is still a pretty powerful updraft that's occurring with this. So one thing that we're looking at is when you have a taller thunderstorm, there's a little bit more of an updraft to work with in terms of that hail. It's able to suspend it a little bit higher and a little bit longer. So when you start to see those tops get a little bit taller, that's when you're starting to get into the more damaging hail threshold. Not necessarily baseballs or anything like that, but it looks like we're going to be maintaining at least a quarter, maybe a $half sized hail potential with this storm. So, it's a little bit different compared to, when we typically see these lines. It'll just be primarily a damaging wind potential. Starting to see it's got a little bit more of a characteristic for a large damaging hail potential as well. So some of these communities in western Sequoia County should probably just be mindful of that hail potential. So go ahead, if you have your car outdoors and you have a garage, go ahead and get that in if you're in Salisaw, Brushy, some of these other communities in Sequoia County, just because this is going to be, maybe a hail producer as it makes its way into the area. They're saying it's moving roughly east at around 55 miles an hour. So it's moving at a pretty good little pace there as well. Let's see here. Do this. Nope, that's way too far. Let's go ahead and do this at 55, and I'm going to go ahead and move that because I already know you're not going to be able to see it in that corner, but let's go ahead and do some of these counties and times of arrival for these towns. So Stigler, basically right now, you're getting the storm right now. Salisaw, 3:59, so that's roughly in around 11 minutes or so. We're going to be talking about Roland, eventually 4:17. Alma at 4:34, and then we're talking Bloomer eventually 4:47 if it continues to hold together. Now that is about an hour away. But right now, we're watching these storms making their way closer and closer to our county coverage. Basically, the central areas here. It's on the western fringes of our county coverage area, and it is going to be moving in here pretty soon at that pace of 55 miles an hour. So today's going to be a little bit tricky. We have this round coming in this morning. These are severe. It's mostly a damaging wind and a hail potential with this. We do have another risk that we're going to be talking about later on into the day as well. And I'll actually go to this one that's a little bit hard to see. There we go. So we have this 2 out of 5 for basically all of our county coverage area, except a very slim portion of our far eastern, southeastern counties that are kind of clipped in between a 1 and a 2 out of 5. So we have those risks today. So again, this is for large hail, damaging winds. Low but not zero tornado potential. Can't rule anything out. But we've got the round in this morning, and it's going to be a little bit tricky once we head throughout the day. We know there's a lot of activities going on across town. So if you have any sort of plans, just keep in mind, watch the radar throughout the day. It's not one of those things where you have to completely cancel your plans, not go out, do anything like that. You're going to be able to go out there and do some activities today. So this isn't a widespread significant day or anything like that, but it's one of those things where we could have a couple different rounds of storms moving in throughout the day. The models have been a little bit inconsistent, not very helpful with the next couple rounds that we could see throughout the day today. So it's going to be one of those things where not everyone's going to see storms, not everyone's going to be impacted by severe weather, but just keep in mind, if you have any plans today, just mind the radar throughout the day. And it's just going to be one of those things that we'll be watching storms. Again, not everyone's going to see this activity, but it's just something to be mindful of. I know we've got the Strawberry Festival and some other activities going on across town, so just keep an eye on the radar. Right now, we're only worried about these storms, and I just want to bring this up to, let's go back to this, and let's go ahead and show you kind of what we're looking at here for Northwest Arkansas just to start off with. So not going to forget about what's going on there to the south and west. For Northwest Arkansas, there's some thunder you can hear this morning. There's no warnings or anything like that for Washington, Benton counties, anything like that. But as you can probably hear behind me, don't know if you can pick that up, but there was a pretty good little rumble there within the last couple seconds. So Northwest Arkansas is hearing the thunder. There's going to be, of course, some light showers in portions of Benton and Washington counties right now. A little bit heavier activity moving into western Washington there. Nothing severe. So if you're just waking up with us and you're wondering, you're hearing the thunder, you see that we're live, what's going on? Well, this is what's going on right now, and you can see it's not very much in Northwest Arkansas. We'll be watching it. If anything changes, we'll let you know. But the other thing that we're looking at here is this more significant complex of storms starting to move into our eastern Oklahoma counties and then eventually into the river valley. So we're watching these very carefully. And excuse me, my allergies are bothering me, so I apologize for the voice issue there. So we're looking at this. And then we're going to be able to see this as it makes its way into the area. So a couple of things that we're watching. Going to see what the latest update is. So the cool thing is we have 2 radar sources. This one will show you what you can see behind me. We have a high resolution one with a little bit more of the scientific data. It's a little bit harder to show on air just because there's so much information that goes into it, and there's a lot of explanation that we need to do with it. So we're just looking behind the scenes, trying to see kind of what this storm is working with. And now one thing I want to highlight is the radars are starting to show. Do you see that little green line starting to form? And I'll see if I can kind of illustrate that here. That little green line that is starting to form out ahead of this activity. And it's right here on the radar, if you can see right where that little line is that I just put there. One thing that we're starting to see is that might be a little outflow boundary trying to get together and forming out ahead of this line. And the reason that that's important is in McKee and Sallisaw, you may be starting to get some gusty winds out ahead. You're not in the middle of this precipitation. You may not even be on the leading edge quite yet. That's not the case for McKee, but Sallisaw, you may end up getting some gusty winds out ahead of this activity. That's typically what those little outflow boundaries do. So that's just something to quickly highlight there. I'll take that off, and we'll go ahead and go back to this. And we'll kind of show you those winds that we're working with here this morning. So again, it is a loud morning, to say the least, for the area, excuse me. And let's go ahead and go to the, let's sample some of these real quick. So 42, 43, so that's still some gusty winds there. In order for a storm to be considered severe, you need it to be about 58 miles an hour or greater strength winds in order to get a severe thunderstorm warning issued and hail up to quarter size. So far, we're getting reports of at least 58 miles an hour winds. So this is basically the bare minimum severe thunderstorm warning that we're looking at for this morning. And okay, so that update just came in. Something to also mention here as well, was waiting for the update from the Weather Service, but they were mentioning that they were going to go ahead and extend the watch until 7 o'clock this morning, and they were going to go ahead and expand it into Madison and Franklin counties. So they went ahead and did that. So the latest update is, if you're just now tuning in, we do have a severe thunderstorm watch. It does cover a lot of our areas, but up until just a couple minutes ago, it only included a couple of the counties in northwest Arkansas and into the River Valley. Right now, we've expanded into Franklin and Madison County. So it was originally Sebastian and Crawford County and Washington County that were included in it. So if you're waking up this morning, your phone just went off to a severe thunderstorm watch, that's what we went ahead and got the update for. Is they've included just a couple counties additionally down the line, just because we have this area of storms moving in. But right now, that update, it looks like we may be continuing that watch. I believe they said it was until 7 o'clock. Yes, and that is until 7 o'clock this morning. So we've got an active day ahead, and it's going to be one of those things again where not everyone sees these storms. So we've got the round in the morning. We've got maybe some additional thunderstorms by closer to noon, maybe the afternoon as well. So we're going to be here. We've been here around the clock watching these things, and we're going to continue to be mindful of these. If you're just now tuning in and you're on YouTube or Facebook, keep in mind, we don't have any way to see those comments live necessarily right now. I can try and see if I can get on there, but our computer system, or at least on my phone, but our computer system doesn't have it directly on our on the face of the screen, where we can just go in there, interact, and reply to your comments or see what you're saying. But so if you're asking any sort of questions, not able to see it, unfortunately. So just kind of thinking what the general comments are typically for streams like this. A lot of people wonder about their community. The thing is, it's incredibly difficult to highlight and say, you know, this specific town, this specific neighborhood is going to get hit well down the line, especially if you're in our far eastern counties and the storms aren't made it any further to the east, close enough to your area. We don't know if they're going to maintain their strength or not. So the thing I'm going to let you know is, if you're in a severe thunderstorm warning, be prepared for hail and damaging winds, at least hail up to quarter size, 60-mile-per-hour winds. We all have an equal opportunity for storms today. Again, that kind of goes back to the watches that we have here. So just remain weather alert this morning, have ways to receive those alerts. Even though you may not be included in the watch yet for Logan, Scott, and Johnson County, doesn't mean that you're not going to see severe weather. The thing with this is, the National Weather Service in Tulsa, they highlight and they cover this area right in here. So this is their county coverage line, basically. And then on this side, this is going to be the National Weather Service in Little Rock. Little Rock issues the county warnings for and the watches for Logan, Scott, and Johnson County. So eventually down the line, they may add a watch there, but Tulsa has gone ahead and just issued the watch for their portion of the coverage area for right now. So we'll wait and see. But that doesn't mean that these areas that are outside of that are not going to see severe weather. So just remain vigilant throughout the morning for the potential for hail, damaging winds, especially if you got any sort of morning plans. If you typically go out for a jog or anything like that, we do have this watch in effect until 7 o'clock this morning. So let's go back to the radar here real quick and show you what we're dealing with. And it's this line right here making its way closer and closer to the river valley. So Fort Smith, Alma, Mountainburg, you're not in a warning just yet, but if you're here with us watching this morning, we have these storms moving in. I would just prepare for maybe some gusty winds and some hail. And let's see if we can get some of that lightning on here real quick. Let's see here. There we go. I want to see if the lightning has decreased. Okay, so that's a pretty good decrease. Eventually, hopefully, this is on a weakening trend. I will say I am noticing that the lightning looks to be on a little bit of a downward trend compared to what it was earlier. 412 strikes in the last 10 minutes. That's compared to about 30, 40 minutes ago. We were talking about 1,200 strikes within a 10-minute time frame. So hopefully this is continuing to weaken, and I think that outflow boundary may be helping add to that. So that would be nice if we get to see these kind of gust out and then they start to weaken. I do think that there are going to be some gusty winds in the river valley, regardless if it's a storm or an outflow boundary. So just keep that in mind. But right now, the good news is we are at a very bare minimum severe thunderstorm warning criteria. And for those who are just now tuning in, and you may be new to the area, you may not have known this, even if you've lived here. The criteria for a severe thunderstorm warning is you need winds of 58 miles an hour or greater. You also need hail quarter-sized or larger, which is 1 inch in diameter. And as you can see, we're at the bare minimum for that 1 inch diameter hail, 60-mile-per-hour winds. So we are just chugging along here, fortunately. Not very significant in terms of the severe weather, and hopefully that continues to be the case. So we're watching this very carefully. We'll let you know if anything changes, but right now, just looking at the hail core, I think the worst of it would probably be located near Salsaw, and it's looking still right around the quarter sized there. So let's see what we've got here. So McKee, Pinhook Corner, Marble City, that's right where we're seeing kind of that, we're starting to see that quarter-sized hail moving into the area. Sallisaw, this is north of Highway 40 and 64, and it's just getting closer to the Highway 59 area. So, of course, we're watching these storms, and unfortunately, kind of a double whammy. We've got hail and wind with this. So we'll be keeping a close eye on that activity there. So here we've got that, and so if you're in these areas, you still got some time. Go ahead. If you're in Atkins, Maple, Brushy, Salsaw, get the car in the garage just to get out of the way if you're able to. I know not everyone has a garage, but if you have any sort of covering for the car just to protect it from the hail, you still got a couple minutes to just go ahead and do that. Let's take a look at those winds as well. And let's see here. Nothing that is into the blues. We're seeing some brighter greens, but we're not necessarily seeing the bright greens into the light blues where that would be significant winds that we got going on there. So just keeping an eye on that. Still around the 41-mile-per-hour range. Keep in mind, we're a little bit of ways from the radar, so that's may not be what's translating to the ground. We may be seeing 50 to 60-mile-per-hour winds, but overall, not seeing anything too significant in terms of those winds. Something else to watch. Let me see if I can actually see if I can get one of those. Let's go ahead and get to the hail core. And let's go ahead and see if we can get a track on this real quick. I still think they're having it moving around 55, so it's a quick moving storm. Here we go. So we'll get a little track on that. And this will put it into basically Sallisaw in the next couple of minutes. You already saw that. It's pretty close to there right now. Muldrow around 425, Dora at around 433, Fort Smith eventually at 439. So not quite into the river valley yet on the Arkansas side, but it's getting close there. So you've got another probably about 28 minutes or so, and we will be letting you know if anything changes with that. So I'm going to head over here and kind of just display some things for you, point out some locations, and let me go ahead and move this. So if you're tuning in with us again, hope you're having a great start to your morning. I know it's a little bit crazy out there just because we have these loud storms moving in. Starting off the morning may not be the best way to start off if you're hearing all this lightning, if you're hearing some of the winds, if you're hearing some hail hitting your house or anything like that. Right now, we have the severe thunderstorm warning that does include portions of our area. There's another warning to the south and west of that would eventually make its way maybe closer to central and southern LaFleur County, but that's still quite a ways away. Still watching, looks like a little outflow boundary starting to kick out ahead of that. So the other thing to mention too is you may not be in the line of, or the initial leading edge of the storm and still experience some gusty winds out ahead of it. So those may end up being around 30, 35 mile an hour winds if I were to guess. But
hey, Joshua.
Yes.
You may have passed this along a second ago. I do want to give folks a heads up that the severe thunderstorm watch that was initially set to expire at 4 o'clock, they've actually extended it till 7 o'clock for obvious reasons. That severe weather threat now extending obviously before, what am I trying to say here? Beyond the original expiration time. So I just wanted to pass that along real quick.
Oh, yeah. And I haven't seen any sort of updates. Didn't really see anything from Little Rock that would indicate. I was wondering if maybe they're going to eventually add Logan, Scott, and Johnson counties.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, because I think that if this eventually holds together, that may still be kind of knocking on their doorstep there as well. So again, if you're just now tuning in with us, not quite done. That watch that was supposed to end a little bit earlier, it's gotten pushed back. And mentioned this a little bit ago as well. We've got, not everyone is located in Northwest Arkansas or the River Valley in a watch right now. Doesn't mean you're not going to see severe weather. Doesn't mean necessarily that you will in portions of Northwest Arkansas. It's just a watch. It means conditions are favorable. It means that they're coming together for the potential that these could maintain their strength, and it's something that we'll have to watch. So again, extending the watch for portions of the area that weren't included, and we're extending that time. And thanks for highlighting that. This is one of those storms where it's kind of a double whammy. Typically, when you see a line of storms, that basically shows that it's not necessarily a significant hail risk or anything like that. There's a pretty strong updraft with this one, and earlier when I was checking it, said it was still around 53,000 feet. When you have a taller thunderstorm, it's a stronger updraft that it holds those frozen droplets and it keeps them up for longer, helps them to bounce around different frozen particles aloft as well, and then it helps them to accumulate to such a size that it can no longer hold it and it drops it to the ground. The taller the thunderstorm, the larger that stone is that is getting to the point where it can no longer be suspended into the atmosphere. So right now, quarter size, maybe half dollar. Haven't really seen any sort of reports coming out of anything larger.
Not yet. One thing I would pass along, not only you're talking about the hail potential there, the accompanying damaging wind potential that it comes with this storm. 58 mile per hour winds were measured, so we're not estimating, we're measured. I'll drive for you, Joshua, you're good. Measured at Weber's Falls. So we're definitively meeting that severe weather threshold with the leading edge of this storm moving in, not only producing some hail, but likely some damaging winds moving into now Sallisaw, Brent, Brushy, Bellefonte's next, Muldrow next in line after that. This storm is going to maintain its strength into Crawford and Sebastian County. The warning has not been issued yet. I'll let the Weather Service do that. I'll just tell you what I can see, and I can see a very strong thunderstorm. It's healthy, and it's not going to weaken quick enough to avoid an additional downstream warning. It's probably going to be a matter of here just a few more minutes before the Weather Service goes ahead and issues that warning. So if you're watching in Cedarville, Alma, Mountainburg, Fort Smith, Fort Chaffee, Pensacola, not technically in a warning yet. You will be soon. We just got a text message asking, is there going to be any rotation in Alma? Well, the odds are relatively low tonight, for a few different reasons why. Number one, we'll just look at your rotation tracker right now, and we're not seeing anything that would indicate any type of spin or anything of that nature out there. It's pretty clear. This is a damaging straight line wind potential, in addition to the large hail potential there as well. Can't entirely rule it out. The tornado threat's not zero, but it is rather low. So I would say the odds are not likely that we would see rotation. I can't entirely eliminate it, so that's why we watch very, very closely. It looks really, as you see here, that's probably a bad sample. I don't think that was the case. We're looking at around 60 or so mile-per-hour winds that have now passed through Sallisaw. They're moving towards Muldrow, Roland, soon to be the Fort Smith area. This is plenty enough to do some damage. So if you're in Roland, if you're in Fort Coffee, Cowington, Van Buren, Fort Smith, Barling, let's say Lavaca, I would also say Cedarville, Bellefonte. You definitely need to be getting ready for some strong straight line winds. That's the primary concern when it comes to damage, but the hail potential certainly there as well. I would certainly see some hail right around the Gans and Aikens community right now, perhaps anywhere between an inch to an inch and a half. So it's a quarter to a $half size hail. Now imagine those large hailstones being wind driven up to 60, 65 miles per hour. That's going to cause some issues to your siding, could unfortunately cause some window damage there as well. These are the impacts that we're expecting with this specific line of storms that's now getting ready to move into Muldrow and Bellefonte. Looks like it's moving relatively quickly at this point. Joshua, what was this moving at earlier?
It was moving at 55.
55, and it's up to 65 now. I thought there might be a little bit forward momentum with that. So let's do this. Let's put a new track on it. Maybe some folks are just now getting woke up by that lightning and that thunder, and you're kind of wondering, okay, what's going on? We'll start area-wide. You've got some showers, non-severe, northwest Arkansas. The only severe weather we have right now is in Sequoia, LaFleur counties, portions of Adair. That's soon going to be crossing into Crawford and Sebastian counties at a current speed of 65 miles per hour. The leading edge of that cell is going to be moving into your neck of the woods at the following estimated times of arrival. Roland at 4:13, so here in about 5 minutes. Spiro 4:17. Downtown Fort Smith right around 4:20, give or take a minute or two there. Alma, now we have a viewer there in Alma this morning, 4:25. Good morning to everybody in Barling. 4:30 is when your winds are probably going to be picking up. Mulberry not too long after that. Greenwood by around 4:39. Bloomer 4:40. Ozark 4:47. Altus around 4:52. The Alex Bottoms there 4:55. Boonville at 5:01. Paris at 5:03. Clarksville 5:07, eventually over into the Lamar community in Johnson County around 5:12 this morning. So we're getting closer and closer to sunrise. That's assuming it doesn't speed up or slow down. And I do need to stress the fact that this storm actually has been speeding up a little bit. So those times I just called out to you may not end up being actually precise if this storm continues its speeding up. I can't imagine it gets a lot faster. At 65 miles per hour, we're almost at interstate speed. So I don't think it's going to get a lot faster than that. But it could slow down, could speed up just a little bit. Just some things to keep in mind. Waiting on the Weather Service out of Tulsa to determine whether or not they're going to issue a downstream warning. I highly suspect they're going to. The strongest part of the storm right now is in Sequoia County. Right now, Muldrow, you've got the high winds. Bellefonte, you've got high winds, probably up to around 60 or so miles per hour. We can see that Doppler radar, it currently indicates those wind velocities where you see those really bright greens and blues. That's where the highest wind is going to be. And right now in the Gans community, we very well could be seeing that's up to about 70, Joshua. I'm getting multiple 70s out there. Actually, the more I look into that cell, I think it may actually be intensifying just a bit.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention that too. The last couple of scans, it's looking hotter and hotter in terms of those wind speeds. The other thing too I wanted to mention is we may ought to take a look at the hail potential near Gans, just because reflectivity is looking a little bit hotter there as well in terms of those brighter values there. So I think that this one definitely is starting to intensify there. And wouldn't surprise me if maybe that one is continuing to produce at least quarters there as well, at least from a reflectivity perspective. But I do agree with you. I think those winds are getting a little bit stronger compared to what they were earlier. And it's looking a little bit more defined in terms of that kind of bow shape to it. So it wouldn't surprise me if those are getting a little bit into the stronger category here shortly. The warning that was just issued for the River Valley, if you're just now tuning in with us, there is a new warning that was issued for Sebastian and Crawford and Franklin counties, and technically a small portion of Madison. Adair, Sequoia, and LaFleur counties are also kind of clipped in parts of this warning as well. So again, 60 miles an hour, but it wouldn't surprise us if maybe we're starting to get into that 65 mile per hour range at least. So don't be surprised if you're starting to see winds and they're a little bit stronger than compared to the last couple of, strong windstorms that we've seen come through here. Hopefully it's not that strong compared to what the radar is showing. But one thing that's kind of concerning is we're close enough to the radar site that might be showing that it is just enough that it could be translating to the ground at least a stronger wind speed there. So watching these, if you're in these communities that we called out here in portions of Crawford, Franklin, Sebastian, extreme southern Madison County, portions of Adair, Sequoia, and LaFleur, be prepared. Strong damaging winds, even some damaging hail up to quarter size will be possible with this. But what we were just talking about a little bit ago, if you're just now tuning in, is this is looking a little bit more concerning in terms of that damaging wind potential. So we're going to be watching this very closely. And if you're also tuning in on our Facebook, on our YouTube, I know that there's probably going to be a lot of comments asking about these storms. We're not able to see your comments on YouTube and Facebook, but you can text us any sort of reports or anything like that. So be sure to do that. And I'll put that on here real quick. So if you've seen... Thank you. And if you have any sort of pictures, videos, any sort of damage once these move through, don't go out in the middle of the storm to take a picture. So don't go into the street in the middle of the winds and the hail just to get anything. Wait until it's passed. And if you have any sort of damage, reports, anything like that, pass that along to us. We will share that with the viewers and the Weather Service just to let them know kind of what's going on. So 479-785-5000. So back to radar, you can see this is a pretty concerning storm starting off this morning, especially for portions of the River Valley. Strong winds, maybe even some hail associated with this. It's definitely loud, and it looks like the lightning came back up with that. I don't know if you saw earlier, it was looking like it was starting to kind of be on a downward trend with that lightning, but it's looking considerably more than it was just a little bit ago, because we were right in the 300, 200, 300 range at one point. Now it's back up to about 430. So this one may be kind of recycling, getting a little bit of more juice to it as it's continuing to move into portions of the River Valley.
I'm going to pull up our Poto camera first, and then we can take a look at some others. This is going to be live in Poto right now. I'll stick with that for about another 3, 2, 1. Not as much lightning as I expected. We'll go into Fort Smith. Looking outside there, honestly expected to see a little bit more in the way of lightning. I'm kind of surprised that we're not, actually. Let's see. Let's take another look from Rogers Avenue. Okay. This is looking towards the west, so we're looking directly into the storm. That's probably the leading edge right there. That's that shelf cloud, more than likely, that Josh was pointing out right there. The shelf cloud's often a pretty strong indicator that we do have some very, very gusty winds coming out of the leading edge of that cell.
Yeah, and this will look scary. So this is a shelf cloud, as you mentioned. This is typically what you see on the leading edge. Long-term viewers here, if you remember just a couple weeks ago, we had a really cool shelf cloud on this exact camera with the leading edge of some storms that we saw just a couple weeks ago. So this one's got another great view. No, this is not a wall cloud. This isn't anything like that indicating rotation. This is just the wind. The shape of this is just basically getting put together because of the winds behind it. So, you can see kind of that circle, or that kind of just rounded shape to it that you see there. So that is a pretty cool shot that we have there. Definitely lots of lightning. You can see it's going to look scary out there if you see this moving into the area, but definitely gusty winds, damaging winds up to maybe 65 miles an hour will be possible with this. And then we've got that hail potential that we're watching with that as well. So definitely a lot of lightning with this compared to what we were seeing just a little bit ago. So I think that this one finally tapped back into some juice that would help it kind of sustain as it made its way into the area there. So let's go back and we'll take a look at the radar again. And this is just one of those things where, you know, if you're to your morning and, you know, not the best way to start the day with all the loud thunderstorms, the wind, maybe the hail and the lightning. So that's why we're here with you this morning, just to let you know kind of what's going on.
Yeah, thank you, Joshua. Did just get a text from Panama. Electric went out. Wind is, quote, ferocious. I believe that. I think what we're seeing here is winds 60 to perhaps as high as 70 mile per hour, especially from Panama through Muldrow, south of Bellefonte. That's getting ready to move into Dora. So we're in the Roland area right now. Fort Smith, Van Buren, Mountainburg, Alma, Kibler, Barling, Pecola, even Hackett, likely next in line. Let me show you exactly what we're looking at there. You find those blues, 69, 67, 69, 68. So we're definitively 60 to 70 mile per hour straight line winds. On top of that, as if that's not just bad enough, you've got some hail, more than likely coming out of this cell, potentially as large as 1 inch in diameter. Radar has been relatively consistent with some of those signals there. Those blues are going to be what radar indicates is likely going to be anywhere between quarter, potentially as high as $half size hail. I'll do some sampling of those. It says less, that's not right. $half, there we go. That's a little bit more accurate. That's a little bit delayed, so we know that hail core is likely now approaching the Arkansas-Oklahoma state line, being driven around by some damaging straight line winds. You talk about some siding damage, west-facing walls that have siding where that hail's falling, getting blown by 60 to 70 mile per hour straight line winds. Probably going to see some damage just from that alone with that specific just impact there. New severe thunderstorm warning. If you're just now waking up, Mother Nature set some alarm clocks for you this morning. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning. It's moving through Sequoia and LaFleur County right now, north of Poteau, up through Muldrow, really into southeastern Adair County. And that's now moving into portions of Crawford and Sebastian. Eventually, that is going to carry over into Franklin County, also included in this severe thunderstorm warning, which is set to expire in 40 minutes at 5 a.m. I suspect, unless we see some serious weakening over the next several minutes, there's probably going to end up being a severe weather potential even further down the line in places such as Logan and Johnson County. Weather Service out of Little Rock will be making some analysis with regards to what they want to do right there. The latest track on this severe thunderstorm warning actually increased the speed even more. This is moving, get this, this is moving at interstate speed, 70 mile per hour is how quick this is moving. With that said, I'd like to take us on to Channel 5. If we can do that, we're streaming live right now on 5 Plus, Facebook, YouTube, and our free mobile app. I'd like to go ahead and get on air as well. So folks online that are watching our coverage, this is going to look a little wonky for a hot second as we get the transmitter fired up. I'll go ahead and draw this out. We'll continue until I hear otherwise. Right now, the track of the leading edge is going to take this into Cedarville at 423. That puts it in Fort Smith at 426. So that's within the next 5 minutes. Hackett at 429, Alma at 431, Greenwood at 436, Lavaca at 438. Good morning to everybody on Channel 5. I'm Chief Meteorologist Scott Covert working alongside Joshua Weisel this morning, interrupting your regularly scheduled programming. We're also streaming live right now on 5 Plus. We've got a strong and severe thunderstorm moving through the River Valley, packing winds up to a potentially 70 mile per hour. We're talking straight line winds. In addition to that, likely some large hailstones, quarter to $half size hail falling out of that same storm. Estimated times of arrival on the right side of your screen right now. For downtown Fort Smith within the next 4 to 5 minutes. Hackett at 429, Alma 431, Greenwood 436, Lavaca 438, Bloomer 441. Charleston at 445, Watalula and Ozark right around 450, Altus at 455, Driggs, Paris, Subiaco right around 5 a.m., Clarksville a little after 5 a.m. This storm has actually consistently been speeding up, now moving at speeds of literally interstate speeds, 70 mile per hour. That's how fast the storm's moving. It's also likely resulting in straight line winds right around 70 miles per hour. So a very strong and severe thunderstorm. If you have a west-facing window, it's probably advisable to go ahead and move away from that. We're not seeing rotation. We're not expecting much rotation. It's May. We don't trust storms in May, especially in May, so I don't want to entirely rule it out. But right now, we're looking at some intense straight-line winds moving into the Fort Smith area. We are going to continue covering this until those winds are able to relax and calm down. But the wind right now is going to start to relax a little bit in Muldrow. It is approaching the Arkansas-Oklahoma state line. Things are rather intense for you right now in Roland. Those winds probably right around 70 or so miles per hour, getting ready to move right on top of that Arkansas-Oklahoma state line. Van Buren, Fort Smith, Alma, Uniontown, Cedarville, also probably in the path of these high winds. I would say maybe Cedarville misses out on the worst, but it's certainly going to get breezy out there. Pensacola probably missing out on the worst, but it's far too close for comfort. Next in line beyond Fort Smith and Van Buren is, of course, going to be Barling and Kibler, Lavaca beyond that as well. That's the winds. Now we've got to talk about the hail, and what I'm going to show you is a product that's a little bit behind. So you take this with a little bit of a grain of salt. This is not current. This is about 4 to 5 minutes behind, and you're looking at a cell that about 5 minutes ago, was producing probably quarter to $half size hailstones. Think about that. Think about a quarter to $half size hailstone. Without wind, that's enough to do some damage. Now let's blow those hailstones with velocities of 70 miles per hour. That's a pretty severe thunderstorm. Certainly for anybody that's outside and camping, needs to seek shelter indoors. It is the weekend. It's been warm. It's been mild. If you're camping, you need to seek sturdier shelter very soon. If you're in Crawford, Sebastian, Franklin counties, even a small sliver of Washington and Madison technically included in this warning, from, let's say, Winslow down through Mountainburg, St. Paul through Cass, Ozark down to Charleston, Greenwood back over towards Spiro. You can see that severe thunderstorm warning shaded in orange right there. The storm itself, the highest of winds, sitting right on top of the Arkansas-Oklahoma state line. I want to go back to the Mercy camera right there on Rogers Avenue in Fort Smith. We've got this thing pointed off towards the west, and it gave us a really good look of that shelf cloud that was moving through earlier. I think it's going to be this camera right here. Okay, that's that cell. Frequent lightning. The good news is we at least still have power as of right now. We are seeing some reports of power outages in portions of Leflore County. I would not at all be surprised if we don't have some in Sequoia County. Getting a text message here. Woke up to hail slamming in all caps against my bedroom window in Salisaw. Very loud, very scary. I believe that. I have no doubt about that at all. We'll continue covering this storm until the threats pass. You're looking live right now from Mercy Hospital there on the east side of Fort Smith. We're looking back off towards the west where this cell is. You're probably looking into the core of the winds right now. One of the things that we're going to be watching for is, do those street lights stay on? Are we going to be able to avoid power outages there? We haven't necessarily been able to in East Oklahoma and Sequoia and Leflore County. Power outages on the uptick right there. If you are watching us on Channel 5 right now and you lose power, we are streaming live for free on Facebook, on YouTube, on our free mobile app. You can find us there, okay? If you live along a west-facing window, or wall, I should say, it's probably wise to go ahead and move away from any windows that face off towards the west. If you're not sure your directions, just move away from a window to begin with, and you'll probably be in better shape. These winds are very intense with this specific cell. We'll come back to Fort Smith camera here in just a minute. Back to live Doppler radar we go. We can see the hail core. We can see a lot of lightning, a lot of thunder. You're probably getting woken up by just that alone. We do have a severe thunderstorm warning, including Alma, Fort Smith, Greenwood, Van Buren, several other communities there as well. That goes until 5 o'clock this morning. There will likely be additional warnings in Johnson and Logan County before this is all said and done. This is moving almost due east, running pretty much parallel with Interstate 40 at about 70 miles per hour, maybe a little bit further south than east, but certainly moving through all of Crawford, Sebastian, Franklin, Logan for sure. We'll see about Johnson. Scott County may be next in line. We need to talk about Scott County a little bit. I'm afraid this cell very well could skirt parts of Scott County.
And just real quick, did see some power flashes on the Mercy camera. Not necessarily that that's indicating a tornado, so not to scare the viewers, but saw at least 2 or 3 power flashes. I think that's indicating that we have some pretty powerful winds. In fact, we may ought to check the Marshall's Museum camera. Looks like there may have been a power flash there a second ago. It almost looks like it's in and out.
Okay.
But it looks like there are some pretty ferocious winds there on that camera and associated. So what I'm talking about here with those power flashes are.
Looks like we've lost the Poto camera.
Okay, so that would be a good sign that there are some pretty fierce winds going on with that. So we're getting power outages from these winds moving into the area. And we know that the warning says 60 miles an hour right now, but it wouldn't surprise me even sampling there's a little pocket that's making its way closer and closer to Crawford and Sebastian that radar's consistently been saying right around 65 to 70. So it wouldn't surprise me if maybe we're just going to get, and these little blue pockets you see. It's not widespread, but it's these little bitty pockets of some pretty significant wind where it wouldn't surprise me if maybe we're still into that 65, 70 mile per hour range, especially seeing that we have a camera knocked off already, but it also seen just a couple different power flashes throughout behind the scenes on our Mercy camera and the Marshall's Museum.
I've pulled up street level here. We're really tied into Fort Smith, but here's the thing. You almost don't even have to be street level. Unfortunately, the wind fields here are broad enough that anywhere between Dora, Van Buren, down south into Fort Smith through Arcoma. I talked to your emergency managers there in Arcoma earlier this evening. Through Enterprise, back towards New Jenny Land. You get closer to Greenwood, that's where those high winds are likely to be right now. They're moving east-southeast, so that does put Kibler and Lavaca in the path of this dangerous thunderstorm. Greenwood as well. If you're watching us this morning in Barling, Greenwood, Lavaca, Kibler, you're hearing the thunder, you're seeing the lightning, but the winds likely going to be picking up here over the next few minutes there as well. No power in Prairie Grove. Here's the thing. We will touch real quickly into Northwest Arkansas. That's probably lightning related because there's actually nothing severe in Prairie Grove or Northwest Arkansas as a whole. Some lightning, but lightning technically isn't severe. It's dangerous, no question about it, but we don't issue warnings for that. So that's probably going to explain your power outage there. The severe thunderstorm right here south of the tunnel, you can see Winslow right there, technically included in this severe thunderstorm as well. Mountainburg, I've not forgotten about you. You definitely have some intense thunderstorms moving through right now. That moves through Bedville, Watalula, and Ozark, Mulberry, Pleasant View here soon. Alma, the winds are about to pick up there as well, but it really looks like the core of the wind moving through Dora, Van Buren, Fort Smith right now. That's going to be tracking towards Barling, Greenwood, Kibler over the next several minutes. Let's do this. Let's put another track on this. I'm going to put a track just from the highest wind. So folks, I'm excluding a few folks here, not because we don't love you, but I'm going to draw this from the highest winds where we've got about 70 or so mile per hour winds. That's moving right now through the Fort Smith area. Off towards the east-southeast, that's going to put it in Van Buren's now. Barling is at the next couple of minutes. Catcher at 434, Alma 438, Lavaca 439, Bloomer at 442, Ursula at 443, Charleston there at 447, Branch at 450, 451 for folks in Cecil, County Line 452, Calksville at 454, Ratcliffe at 453. That's when the highest of winds are likely going to be arriving in your neck of the woods. Not to say there's not intense winds elsewhere. That's just where the pocket of extreme 70 plus mile per hour winds might be moving through right now.
And just real quick for that report of the power outage in Prairie Grove, it looks like we have just about 2,200 power outages in Washington County alone.
Okay, I suspect that's probably lightning related. We'll let Ozarks Electric determine that. They're incredible folks, and they'll let us know here real soon. But right now, I would suspect that that's lightning related. There's not been a lot of severe wind up there. I do want to look into this real quick. Not seeing any rotation there. Right now, this is a damaging straight line wind event. And here's the thing, if we end up getting damage, and I'm afraid it's going to be tough to avoid it, it doesn't matter if it was straight line wind or not. We don't have to get hung up in what caused it. Damage is damage. And that's the key takeaway. Sometimes it was a big tornado. I don't get caught up in the semantics. Damage is damage, and we very well could have some with the wind that we're seeing right now move through Crawford and Sebastian County, even parts of still Sequoia County. Probably still not entirely calm there in Roland yet, but things are going to be improving for us in Roland and Arcoma and Pensacola over the next couple of minutes. New severe thunderstorm warning now issued for Johnson in Logan and Scott counties. Let's zoom out. That's popping up on the map right now. You can see we were just talking about that. That warning there is going to be running until 5:15. That does include Boonville, Clarksville, Paris, and Spadra. So we just measured winds at the Fort Smith Regional Airport at 55 knots. That equates to basically around 60-mile-per-hour winds. That's no longer Doppler radar estimated. That's measured. That's an actual instrument that we've got out there at the airport, and it just measured around 60-mile-per-hour winds. Also seeing around 55 at the Sallisaw Airport just a few minutes ago. 60 to 70-mile-per-hour winds, dime-size hail in Van Buren. Just getting that text message in. Thank you for sending that report. I'm sorry about the winds. I'm happy the hail isn't larger because the potential for larger hail certainly has existed in this storm. This right now, a very classic wind-producing system. This is called a mesoscale convective system. It's got a nice bow echo on it, and it's very symbolic of what you would expect to see some damaging straight-line winds coming out of, and that is the case right now in Crawford and Sebastian counties. This storm has been moving at 70 miles per hour. We're talking interstate speeds. So with that in mind, let's put a new track on it. I'm going to do this a little bit ahead of the storm just to account for it's probably moving quicker than the radar can really even sample it accurately quickly enough. So that's going to put this, I'll leave this up. I don't have to read off all those, but I'll pick out a couple for you. Greenwood at 434, Mulberry at 441, Branch 447, Ozark 452, Paris 458, Clarksville at 5:09 this morning. Winds now in Fort Smith, now up to 58 knots. Joshua helped me out with some math on that. That's definitively 62, 63 mile per hour conversion. So the winds are picking up. The leading edge of that cell now moving over the Fort Smith Airport at 60 plus mile per hour straight line winds. We're probably going to get some damage reports out of that. If we don't have them already, they will be coming in here relatively soon. Looks like the hail might be coming down just a little bit based off that report that we just got out of Van Buren, dime-size hail. That's some good news that it's not larger. I'm sorry that it's hail nonetheless, and hail that's getting driven by the wind. That can cause some different level of damage in of itself. But earlier this cell was producing potentially as high as $half size hail. So we're coming down from that at least. The straight line wind potential seems to be increasing actually right now. Not only do we see Doppler radar estimates, we've got measurements actually from the airport there in Sallisaw as well as in Fort Smith. Let's go back into our wind velocities here. This is going to be a live look into that storm. And those winds right now are highest at the Doppler radar site. So we're talking there south side of Fort Smith near the airport. If you live or know of where that's at, that's where we're probably going to be measuring right now, around 60 to, yeah, that's exactly what we're measuring. That's a really good sampling from the radar.
Yeah, I think the report earlier was close to about 65, 66 with that conversion.
Okay.
So the radar is pretty spot on with some of those pockets. I think that what we were seeing earlier, closer to that 70 mark.
Yeah, I believe that. Hello, over here. Okay, let's see. This camera's going rogue on us. That's okay, no worries. If you're just now joining us, 4:35 on your Sunday morning, we're tracking a severe thunderstorm capable of producing some very high winds, 60 to 70 mile per hour straight line winds, more than likely right now continuing across Crawford and Sebastian counties. That is getting close to moving into Franklin, eventually into Johnson, Logan, and Scott counties, also now included in a brand new severe thunderstorm warning. Damaging wind is the most likely apparent issue right now. But hail has also at times been mixing in with this. Let's see. This is going to be a report coming out of near the Fort Smith Airport at Country Club Road. Hail and heavy rain. To the person that just sent that in, number one, thank you. Number two, could you respond, if you don't mind, and let me know if the wind is an issue for you there? I suspect, based off what we're measuring, it's got to be, but I'm curious as to what you're seeing there as well. Let's do this. Let's keep this looping for just the last hour, just so we have a general idea of who's going to be in the path of this storm. Okay, so that's actually at 67 mile per hour winds there in Fort Smith. Based off of what Josh was just telling us. So all that's computing. Unfortunately, damaging winds are going to be a big concern for us. That's probably waking a lot of folks up right now. If that's you this morning, I need you to avoid the windows, okay? We're looking at 60 to 70 mile per hour winds, closer to that 70 threshold. And we're not talking estimates, we're talking actual measurements. So we have confirmation that these winds are approaching 70 miles per hour. I need you to avoid the windows, especially west-facing windows. Okay, looks here, hail in Arcoma, wind is blowing things around in my yard. Okay, stay put. It's going to get better for you in Arcoma here in about the next 5 to 10 minutes. This storm's moving quick enough, and if there's any good news, it's that it's gonna get intense for a few minutes, and then it's going to get better for you. I promise you. I know it's going to be tough to endure for a few minutes, but it is moving quick enough that it's not going to cause you a long period of grief. And we'll see what the damage is when the backside of the storm clears on out of the area. New severe thunderstorm warning. They've essentially just trimmed out Sequoia and LaFleur. The threat has passed Sequoia and LaFleur County as of right now. Okay, this person responding back there near Country Club Road, near the airport. Thank you again. Winds was extremely high, but has subsided now. Townsend is flooding near Rath Auto. Okay, that's unfortunately, we always have a lot of flooding issues there in Fort Smith, I'm afraid. New warning trims up right there at the Arkansas-Oklahoma state line. The threat right now is moving through Crawford and Sebastian counties. Is doing so very quickly. Let's go back into our winds. Have they changed any at all? No. In fact, I still see very intense wind signatures with this. The radar currently sampling winds moving into the Greenwood community right around 60 miles per hour. Barling between 40 and 50. Lavaca, we're probably anywhere between 60 and 70. That's next going to be moving into Charleston, Washburn, Mansfield. Mansfield, you got a couple of minutes there. Dayton, I'll put that on the map for you. Hail is slamming in Van Buren, super windy as well. Thanks for keeping us up to date. No, thank you for trusting us with you this morning. If you could, and I know it's going to be really, really tough given the circumstances, it's dark and the wind's blowing things around. If you ever are able to let me know how large that hail is, I'd like to pass that along to the National Weather Service. They'll be very curious to know. Earlier, it was dime-size hail in Van Buren, but it's very possible that came up. It's going to be tough to get. Please don't put yourself in danger for me. We'll be fine. But I am curious if you're able to see what's going on there. Bloomer, Charleston, Washburn, Vesta, Riverdale, Cecil, Peter Pender, Branch. You're going to see these intense straight line winds picking up for you very soon there as well. Right now, not finding any rotation. This is going to be damaging straight line winds, large hail. Here's another text message. Very intense winds and hail in South Fort Smith along Highway 71. Very large limb fell in my backyard. Thought the wind hail was going to break a window. I'm afraid that is not weakening any at all. So folks, if you're living downstream, I'm reading these text messages to you so that you know exactly what just happened to your neighbors to the west. This storm hasn't weakened. So the same person who just thought the hail and the wind was going to break their window, they're kind of letting you know ahead of the storm that this isn't one that is just radar indicated. It's not actually happening, right? Sometimes we fall into that mental trap. This is a severe storm, folks. This one's causing some issues for us out there, and it's not letting up anytime soon. It is moving quickly. New scan just coming in. Greenwood, Mansfield, the winds are very intense for you folks there right now. That continues to be the case on the south side of Fort Smith. This is quickly moving off towards the east, though, so give it 4 to 5 more minutes, and you're going to see conditions slowly let up. The rain may very well continue. The lightning and the thunder is going to continue. So my recommendation to you is, even though the most intense winds may let up, give it a few minutes before you go outside and assess the damage. A couple of reasons why. A lot of lightning, it's just not safe. Number two, if there's any limbs or trees that haven't completely fallen, you don't want to be caught out in that. Let's give it a few minutes with some additional winds likely moving into the area there as well. Let's bring in Joshua, you still here with us?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to bring you in back here for a hot second, if you don't mind taking over real quick.
All good, and still seeing some reports. We've had additional reports of 60-mile-per-hour wind and hail right around an inch or less. Another report of a 67-mile-per-hour wind gust as well. So this is just a pretty intense storm that we've got going on here this morning. So if you are down the line from this storm, I know the warning says 60 miles an hour, but right now, it wouldn't surprise me if we're still seeing up to maybe 65-mile-per-hour winds, maybe even a little bit stronger. Do you see right here that little donut hole shape right there next to the 540 icon? That's what we call the cone of silence. That's when the storm is moving directly over, and there's the radar dome just to show you. That's when the storm is moving directly over the radar. A couple miles out and around the radar, the signature is a little bit sloppy because we're just getting off of the ground surface and making our way upwards. Because of that, it's going to be a little bit harder to determine closer to that radar site. But as you saw, Scott was sampling some of those wind gusts just out ahead of it. They're starting to still be intense outside of that cone of silence. So it's a little bit tricky right here, but as it's starting to move away, notice we're still seeing some of those closer to those tans and some of those brighter pinks. That's still indicating that we could have anywhere between 50 to maybe 65, maybe even 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts. So even though that warning tag says 60, don't be surprised if you get some stronger winds out ahead of that as well. We're still sampling up to 65 in some areas, 73 out ahead of that as well. So intense winds. And the reason this is so concerning is, you know, maybe some of you are thinking, hey, it's just gusty winds. What does it matter? When you jump from 60 to 70 miles an hour, the damage threshold, it's noticeably different. It can lead to more damage with tree limbs. It can damage siding on houses, even some roofs at some point. Add in a hail factor, it's slamming that hail into the side of your house at 60, 70 miles an hour. So it's one of those things, stay away from westerly windows. And it's just a good idea to not be near any windows in general, especially if these winds are kicking up to that severity. Radar is indicating still close to about quarter. That's when we're into those blues that you see there, not into those darker blues that would show necessarily half dollar or anything larger. So that is lining up with the reports that we're seeing. The reports have been quarter size or just under, so that's some good news there. But even quarter size, if you have a quarter size stone hitting the side of your house at 70 miles an hour, that's not a fun experience. So definitely stay away from those westerly windows for the next little bit. And this storm is moving at a good pace, as Scott mentioned, roughly around interstate speeds, 70 miles an hour. And the good news about that part is this is not going to be prolonged damaging winds over an area for a long period of time. The good news is it's making its way into areas, and it's making its way pretty quickly out. So you'll see it come in. It'll be gusty for a couple of minutes at times. It'll be intense, and then it will quickly start to move out. So there's some good news there. Times of arrival with the latest path that we've got is Branch 450, Ozark at 454, Boonville around 457, Paris 501, and then eventually down the line Lamar at 515, and Danville, if it holds together, around 525. So again, this is a pretty intense storm. The reason we're on TV with you this morning as well instead of just streaming is the 70-mile-per-hour wind gust potential. We've seen a couple of gusts already confirmed by either a weather station or any sort of recording station that we have out here that were indicating close to about 65, 67 miles an hour. We've had a couple of train spotters report right around 60-mile-an-hour winds as well, with that quarter or just under quarter-sized hail. So still intense winds all the way, making its way into Charleston in the next couple minutes, if not right now, especially at the speed. The radar gives us just a picture of a moment in time. But with how fast this is moving, it wouldn't surprise me if Charleston's already getting those winds right now. Still some gusty winds near Greenwood, Mansfield, but eventually down the line, Boonville, Tate, get ready, because these winds, they are they're pretty gnarly out there this morning. So it wouldn't surprise me if we continue to see some power outages. If you were just tuning in just a little bit ago, saw a couple power flashes with our Fort Smith camera due to those winds. And that's not from a tornado. That's just when you get to the 60 to 70 mile per hour wind potential, that's when you start to see things kick up, and then you can get more power outages and stuff like that. So right now, this is the only severe storm that we have in our area. Northwest Arkansas, I know there's a lot of power outages up in Washington County, most likely from a lightning-related incident. As you can see, nothing going on up here. It is just all rain and some lightning. But right now, there was about 2,300 power outages out in Washington County as of about 10 minutes ago when we checked. So that's lightning-related. No storms up here. Eastern Oklahoma, you're pretty much quiet for the time being, except for LaFleur County. There are some pretty intense thunderstorms. No severe thunderstorm warning for a large portion of the storm in LaFleur County. The only one that we have going on right now is the one making its way into the River Valley. And unfortunately, as we're zooming in here, you can see Fort Smith getting several reports of, quarter-sized hail. There's some potential damaging wind gusts. As you can see, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts there. Is that some wind damage too?
Not on this specific report. This was hail just under 1 inch in diameter at Phoenix Avenue. This one's going to be some wind damage right here. Signs blown down at the intersection of 0 and Highway 45. This one's going to be, looks like that's going to be where we actually measured that 67-mile-per-hour gust.
Yeah, so unfortunately, in a very populated area, seeing just a lot of damaging wind, and it wouldn't surprise me if we continue to see, damaged photos, damaged videos coming in here in the next little bit. Don't go out in the middle of the storm. We have quite a bit of lightning. In fact, we may ought to just sample that lightning there too, just to show. I'm still looking at Mercy and the Marshall's camera in Fort Smith, and there is still quite a bit of lightning, even though the worst of it is passed from that. So that's still a pretty good amount. It's not what we were seeing back in eastern Oklahoma, where it was around 1,200 strikes in about 10 minutes, but that is still a lot of lightning to be considering. So
dime-sized hail on South 28th and Fort Smith, very strong winds just a few minutes ago, has since died down. That's the good news there. Things are going to improve for you in Fort Smith soon. I know you've just been hit hard. I know you have, and I'm sorry that you're getting woke up in the middle of the night because of that, but things are going to get better for you in the next few minutes. Just give it a few more minutes. Rain's going to continue. We are seeing some flooding concerns, some flooding reports there along Phoenix Avenue. That's in Fort Smith. This is in Ozark looking towards the south. Should be able to see some of that lightning there. I'm actually surprised. Okay, there it is. Wow. Do you see that? Holy moly.
That is a great shot there.
Hey,
in fact,
Dan,
that's the roll cloud, isn't it?
Dan, can you roll on the Ozark camera? Thank you. That is a remarkable shot. Goodness gracious. We're looking off towards the southwest there, so that's that storm coming into western Franklin County. You're seeing that and you're wondering, what's a roll cloud? Why is Scott so fascinated? That's not a wall cloud, okay? That's not rotation. That's not a wall cloud. That's just one of those things that we see when there's some very intense winds coming out of a storm. Looks like we've got quarter-size hail in Lavaca as well as in Central City in southern Sebastian County with this specific storm.
Yeah, and just a quick update looking at the power outages here. So if you see me on my phone, not texting or playing Candy Crush or anything like that, right around 1,000 power outages in Sequoyah County, and that went up from earlier. And going to go ahead and take a look at Arkansas's power outages, and Washington County still at 2,200. And not really an update yet for portions of Crawford and Sebastian counties, but I'm assuming that given the next update that they issue there, I think that we're going to see that maybe go up pretty noticeably. So we're still watching the power outage numbers. It looks like they finally updated that warning to around 70 miles an hour. So
Yeah.
it looks like we're still sustaining that potential, unfortunately. Hate to see that. Wishing it was just a quick pocket and then it was over with, kind of like a downburst. But the difference is a
Wow.
downburst, you get it, it goes away. But this is a line of storms with damaging straight line winds. It's a little bit harder to get rid of those. And unfortunately, still seeing those pockets here. We're starting to see a little bit more of those brighter pinks into some of those more brownish colors there. Would not surprise me if we are still seeing 70 miles an hour, especially.
I think we are.
Yeah, and this is only, what would this be, about 500 feet off the ground, roughly?
Right there is going to be on the wrong screen. Okay, it's going to be about 1,000 feet up. So it's a fine enough sample that those winds are definitively translating to the ground. Right now, those winds are going to be moving along Highway 23 south of Ozark, from Ozark down towards Ratcliffe. That's going to be moving down towards Boonville very soon as well. Paris, Boonville, Calksville, Driggs. You need to be going ahead and moving away from exterior windows, okay? These winds are intense. It's also going to come with a little bit of hail as well. Back off towards the south through Tate and Waldron, Oliver, Brawley, Blancett, Parks. You've got some very high winds moving your direction there as well, likely anywhere between 60 to 70 miles per hour. This has caused damage, and these are some really intense winds. This isn't your garden variety severe thunderstorm warning. This is a little bit different. This is a little bit more of a unique situation where these winds are a little bit higher and they actually are causing power outages and damage, and they have been over the last several minutes, as far back as western Sequoia and western Lafleur County. Storms moving quickly, so you don't necessarily have a whole lot of time. It's moving, get this, at interstate speed, 70 mile per hour forward momentum, 70 mile per hour straight line winds. On top of that, the potential of up to quarter size hail. We've been seeing very different reports. Quarter size right now from Lavaca and Central City. We've seen some dime size reports out there. Hail that's just getting blown at 70 miles per hour. That's going to hurt. That's going to cause some siding issues. It's going to cause some roof issues, I'm afraid, as well. When we're blowing hailstones that large, that quickly, it's going to cause some damage. That's the situation that we're looking at right now. That's the weather impact, and that extends through Franklin, Johnson, Logan, Scott counties, even extending into portions of Yell County. I know we've got some viewers in Yell County. We love you. You're technically covered by the Little Rock market. We'll take care of you this morning if you're with us. This storm's moving quickly. Right now, it is moving into getting ready to move into the Ozark community. It's going to be passing through Cecil, Etna, eventually over towards Altus. Charleston is very intense right now. Boonville, you got a matter of a minute or two, if even that. I think what's happening right now, I think this storm is outrunning the Doppler radar. We can only spin that radar, that beam, so quickly and get the data back in, but this storm is moving so quickly that I just don't think we're actually getting real-time data. That doesn't happen often. Typically, we're able to spin that beam quick enough and sample it in almost real time. I think it's actually moving relatively quickly. Warning now has been dropped for Fort Smith. Things are getting better for you in Fort Smith. I would still like you in Fort Smith and Van Buren and Alma, anywhere in between, Greenwood as well. Could you give it about 4 to 5 more minutes before you go outside and assess the damage? While the winds are no longer severe, they're still breezy, okay? And what concerns me about those winds for your own safety is if there were any limbs or trees that haven't entirely fallen to the ground or toppled over, it may just take a small breeze to actually finish that off. So I don't want you out there as those things may inevitably happen. Let's stay put for at least a few more minutes before we go out and assess the damage. In addition, you've obviously got some rain continuing for you there as well. If you're just now getting woke up by Mother Nature, your phones are alerting you, your NOAA weather radios are waking you up in the middle of the night, you're kind of getting your bearings, you're trying to figure out, okay, Scott, what in the world's going on? Here's the high-level picture. We've got a very strong thunderstorm that has a very recent history of producing some damage as a result of straight-line winds up to about 70 miles per hour. Large hail on top of that. Sometimes it's happening simultaneously, and it sounds just ferocious, and that's going to be occurring in a lot of places. And Franklin, Johnson, Logan, and Scott counties where it's not happening right now. It is likely happening right now. We've gotten numerous text messages, numerous reports over the last several minutes that has happened. There is damage. There is some flooding in Fort Smith. There are power outages. Those are likely going to continue ticking up as this storm continues its strength as it progresses off towards the east here in the River Valley. Northwest Arkansas, you've got rain, you've got some lightning, and you got some thunder, but you do not have severe weather at the moment. That's the good news. I don't suspect that's going to change this morning. Later today may be a different story, but at least for this morning, you've got a good old-fashioned shower, and that's likely going to be about it. I want to check this latest text message that you guys are sending in. Let me do this. Let me put my phone number up here real quick while I'm checking it. 479-785-5000 is the number here at the station. Come straight to my cell phone. If it's safe for you to give it an assessment, to see what the damage is or take a picture, we welcome that. I do not welcome you putting your life in danger. It's not worth it. I don't care. I don't want you to do that. It's dark out there. You've still got lightning. You've still got a little bit of rain and some flooding, probably a little bit of damage out there as well. Power lines very well could be down. I think I actually saw some dispatch reports from Fort Smith Fire Department assessing some of those issues out there. So that's probably a real likelihood right now in the River Valley. If it's not yet where you live in Ozark and Paris, right now I think things are getting pretty intense for us in Boonville. It will be here real soon. Let's do this. Oh my goodness, let's go back into the winds. That is just some really intense winds moving through the Boonville community right now, from Charleston through Waldron. Charleston to Waldron, if you live anywhere in between there, back up towards Mansfield, this is where I'm going to draw a circle around it. This is where we've got probably 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. I know those arrows are the same arrows that I use to draw rotation, and I'm regretting that in this moment because I do not want to give you the impression that there's rotation. There is not. That's just where I'm drawing the highest wind speeds right now. Where you see those yellow colors, look up, Joshua, point to the on the scale, on the legend there. We are on the high end of that scale when it comes to wind speeds that the radar can sample. Likely 60 to 70. I think a lot of us are closer to 70, okay? I really think so. And if we're not at 70 on the ground, it doesn't matter. 60 to 70, we're splitting hairs this morning. Straight line winds, going to cause some damage. It very well could cause just as much damage as a weak tornado. The only difference is instead of an isolated area where that rotation, that tornado could be, we're talking a broad wind field that spans several miles. That's what we're looking at this morning. And that is not weakening. This wind signature has been very intense since back in Sequoia and LaFleur counties, moved through Van Buren and Fort Smith and Alma and Mountainburg, now pushing off towards the south and east there as well. I'm getting your text messages here. This is going to be a picture south side there from Old Greenwood. Fort Smith, 1-inch size hail. In South Fort Smith, the hail was penny size. Wind was very strong. Woke up to hail pounding the window. I am in Fort Smith and need to go to NWA ASAP. Is it safe to travel I-49 at this point? Let me look for you. I want to be helpful to you. I get nervous when I'm giving kind of advice like that. Yes. Here's what I can tell you, whether or not it's safe or not. What I can tell you is the severe weather threat has passed to the east of 49. So you're not going to experience those same level of winds up and down 49, but it is going to continue raining, okay? And some of that rain can cause some travel issues. So take it slow. Definitely want to take it slow out there. You might even see a little bit of fog. Sometimes visibility can be a little bit of an issue there, especially in those hills and those valleys. This morning. Okay, current time here, it's 4:59. We're coming up on 5 o'clock this morning. One of these warnings I think is going to be expiring here real soon. Okay, it did actually just fall off for Franklin County. I'm surprised they didn't extend a new one there. Well, I say that, maybe I'm not. When I look at the winds, it does look predominantly now in Logan County. Logan and Scott counties is where the highest winds are, so that does kind of make sense there. Our warning continues until 5:15 this morning. Okay, did they just issue a new one? Yeah, they did. Okay, I thought for sure that was
Perfect timing.
Yeah. Okay, let me back up here. Let me just put it up this way. I'll show it to you a little bit differently. Everywhere in orange right there, that is a severe thunderstorm warning. Are we taking power strikes here? Are we taking lightning strikes here at the station?
I would assume so. Just looking at the roof cam in the Holiday Inn, there it is.
Okay.
We have some wicked lightning. We have some of those cloud crawlers that are just lighting up the entire sky. It's beautiful, but it's also dangerous if you're going out there to look and see. So I probably wouldn't stand outside following these storms if I were anyone out there.
Okay, we've lost the POTO camera, lightning, likely a power outage there. If we can go full screen on Max 1 just for a second, we'll come back to this box setup here in just a minute. We're looking live in Ozark right now where that severe thunderstorm is moving through intense lightning. I suspect we'll probably end up losing that camera at this rate. I have a hard time believing we'll keep it with lightning that intense. Power outages are certainly going to be a possibility from the wind alone. Now you add in all that lightning, power out in Spyro. Earlier 62-mile-per-hour wind outages around Baptist Hospital. Okay, thank you.
And that POTO camera being down, it looks like LaFleur County is at 3,000 outages at the moment. So 3,000 outages out there, 2,000 outages in Sebastian County. Crawford is currently at around 507. Washington County about 2,200 still. Adair County, not that many. We're talking about let's say 50 out at this moment in time. So the numbers are going up. There was a big spike in power outages in Crawford and Sebastian County, even LaFleur County. So it doesn't surprise me that that camera's down. Kind of surprised that the Ozark camera's not down either.
I suppose it might be soon. Any warnings that we should expect for Panama POTO? No, the threat's passed for you folks there, okay? The threat's off to your east there in Panama and POTO. I'm going to do something real quick. I'm going to text Travis. Travis is the emergency manager there in Sebastian County. I'm going to see if everything's okay. He'll get back to me as soon as he can. Power outages up to 617 over the last, power flashes, lightning strikes up to 617 over the last 10 minutes alone, as seen by radar there. Let's go back into these winds. I'm really concerned about the winds. We're talking intense straight line winds up to 70 miles per hour right now, moving through Logan County, extending into Scott County. Southern Franklin's not totally out of the woods yet. Give it about 10 more minutes between Charleston, Ratcliffe, points off towards the south. Winds are also going to get breezy in Ozark and Watalula. That's why that warning extends there. But we're talking about closer to 50 to 60 as opposed to 60 to 70. Where you find those really bright yellows, that's the pocket of straight line winds, 60 to 70 mile per hour right now. What does the data show us? We can take a look. We can ask the radar in Boonville right now, measuring winds up to 65 miles per hour. In Waldron, north of Waldron, 74-mile-per-hour winds being detected by the Doppler radar. Coming into Paris, I'm thinking we're right around 60 mile per hour right now. In addition to that, you're probably going to have some hail there as well. So we're talking about a very expansive wind field here that's likely producing some damage. Let's work our way up and down this line from the severe thunderstorm warning. Right now, winds probably very breezy in Ozark. It's really once you travel south on 23, when you get into the Etna area, that's when those winds are picking up right now. That's moving towards Altus, Roseville, eventually over towards Hartman, Clarksville, Paris as well. So that if you're east of that line, these winds are going to be moving your direction very quickly. They're intense right now, right there along Highway 22 between Clarksville, Carbon City, and at the rate these storms are moving, 70 mile per hour interstate speeds, they're likely in Paris and Subiaco in the next 5 minutes. Eventually that will translate over towards Delaware, Scranton, Shoal Creek there as well. When we start in Boonville, we've got 60 to 70 mile per hour winds. That's happening in Mount Magazine. That's happening in the town of Magazine. That's passing towards Blue Mountain, Sugar Grove, likely in the next 4 to 5 minutes. We get ourselves into Scott County. Scott County's had a storm yesterday, a severe thunderstorm where that cap broke and those storms just erupted, producing some winds and some hail. Right now, winds are very intense for you in Scott County. Up to 60 to 70 mile per hour winds right there. Let's take another look. I think that might actually be where they're the highest. I'm going to sample that. That's wrong data. That's got to be wrong data. That's right though. 65 to 67 is correct. 72 may even be correct near Tate. So I think we're talking about a very severe thunderstorm right now, folks.
Yeah, so if you're in the path of this, as Scott's been saying, just I would not be on a west side of the house with a window. You know, some may be thinking it's just gusty winds. When you start to get into that 70 mile per hour threshold, it can do damage. It can do damage to larger tree limbs. It could blow over a tree. It can, even for people who are in a mobile home, sometimes these 70 mile per hour winds, they can even topple over a mobile home. So this is why we're talking about it. There's a big difference between 60 and 70 miles an hour. It may not seem like it may not sound like it, but we're going to be watching because these dangerous winds, if you have any sort of loose outdoor objects with these winds, it can slam it into the side of your house, your car. So this is just, it's not a fun ordeal this morning. Stay away from westerly windows and definitely just wait inside, especially if you do receive some damage. We love to see your reports and your videos, but as Scott mentioned just a little bit ago, take some time until the storm has passed because there may be some damage that you don't see. Tree limbs that are still kind of dangling up in the tree, and we just don't want you out there putting yourself in danger to try and assess the damage or send us any sort of reports or anything like that. So we got a new track there, and I'll step out of the way so he can
I'll move it over your way. Sorry, I'll let you handle this.
Oh, you're all good. So if we could maybe take my screen, full screen here real quick, and thank you. So as you can see, Paris right around now, so storm's already on top of you. And when we're moving at 70 miles an hour.
We're down to 60 now.
Okay, so we're
slowing
down to 60. Okay. So that's way better too. So hopefully the radar will be able to kind of catch up. As Scott mentioned, it does a little 360 scan and then it pauses and then it does another one to get a higher elevation. And when you're doing that, can't really catch up to these storms when they're moving that fast. Now that we're moving down to 60, it may be a little bit more manageable compared to what it was just a little bit ago, but still moving pretty quickly. So, time is, limited when we have these times of arrival just because it's a fast moving storm. Before you know it, you'll have these damaging winds kind of on top of you. So,
Joshua, can I do something real quick?
Oh, yes.
I'm not going to throw you. Let's stay right there. I'm going to move this track. I still think we're outrunning, the storm's outrunning radar. So I'm going to move that track up a little bit. Those times there, I feel like are probably going to be highly precise.
Yeah, I'd agree with you there just because that would be a little bit better of an estimation just because it's already probably well out ahead of where that scan was just a little bit ago. So here's what we got right now in Hartman. We're going to see Spadra around 5:15, Clarksville around 5:16, basically the same time. Lamar at 5:21, Danville 5:29, London at 5:30, and we're going to have Plainview eventually around 5:36. So, when we have some of these storms where they're not moving very quickly, and then we do these times, and then we let you know, hey, eventually down the line, if it holds together, this is where it's going to be. That's typically those communities at the very end of this, and it may or may not get there. This is different. This is a fast-moving storm, so even though it may not seem like it may not seem as certain if it makes it to these areas, at that potential time, this storm is likely going to hold together, especially with how fast it's moving. So even if you are well down ahead of this and you may think you still got some time, this is moving pretty quickly. So I would just move that car into the garage. I would stay away from those westerly windows. And if you have any sort of plans this morning, go ahead and just be watching the radar. And then we just took a lightning strike here. If that one was a pretty good one. So I don't know if you heard that, but I'm sure you saw the green screen just got all twitchy on us there. For those who don't know, we have probably a 500-foot tower outside, and it's
about 20 feet from where we stand too. So it's,
yeah.
when we take those lightning strikes, we shiver a little bit, but it's all okay. We're totally safe, and our job here tonight is to keep you safe there at home. So thank you, Joshua, for walking us through those estimated times of arrival. Did just get a report. Let me see. I've already forgotten. It was south of Ozark. I think I've already, around 30 mile per hour winds south of Ozark. When that checks out, I really think when we start traveling even further south is when you get those higher velocities where those really bright yellows are. Folks in Scott and Logan County, that's where we've got the big issues. That's where the winds are likely at 60 to 70. And right now that has exited Franklin. Your warning does continue for portions of Franklin for a few more minutes. But Logan and Scott County, my oh my, you've got some very intense straight line winds right now, up to 70 mile per hour winds. In addition to that, we've not looked at it in a minute, you've had some hail at times. The hail, while still present, isn't as big as it was. It has been getting a little bit weaker. That's coming down as this slowly transitions over to a damaging straight line wind event. At one point through the Fort Smith area, and I'm saying Fort Smith area, I really mean the broader broader River Valley, broader Crawford, Sebastian County area, we were having some wind-driven hailstones up to quarter size. Imagine 70-mile-per-hour winds blowing quarter-size hail into your windows, your home, you're sleeping, and that wakes you up. That's going to scare the bejesus out of you, isn't it? Fortunately, that's reality for a lot of folks this morning. In addition to that, there's probably some tree damage. We're seeing some tree damage. Joshua's told us a little bit about the power outages. Those are going to continue to take up as this line continues to progress through Logan and Scott County. We're safe. Thank you so much for that text message. We'll always stay safe. We're good. Marble-sized hail here at Mercy Hospital in Waldron on 71. Hey, thank you for that message in Waldron. What's the wind doing? Do you mind letting me know? If you could respond to that text message there in Waldron, what's the wind? If you could estimate it. Estimating wind is so hard. For trained meteorologists, estimating wind is hard to do, but give me an idea if you could. Let me know what's going on there in Waldron or Paris. It's been a minute since we put our phone number back on. This is how to get me. I'm reading your messages in real time, coming straight to the cell phone. 479-785-5000, that's our number here. It's always helpful to include where you're at, your location. If you have had hail, if you could give us an estimate of how big it was, and if you can estimate those winds too. Any damage reports are helpful. We're passing those along to the Weather Service in real time. All of your reports are actually going straight to those folks there. It helps them give good warnings and do things there as well. Okay, let's see here.
And still sampling some of those winds kind of behind the scenes. The leading edge is still, it's been consistent between 65 and about 70 miles an hour. So still wouldn't surprise me. And Scott mentioned it's a little bit difficult to estimate the winds on radar. So the other thing that we're having to factor in right now is, we have the radar beam that is originating from Fort Smith. Now that we're in Driggs, Paris, areas that are in Logan, Scott, and Johnson County, we're no longer closer to that 500 foot to 1,000 feet above the surface. We're starting to look higher and higher up, and I believe that we're starting to get closer to probably about the 2,000 to 3,000 feet off the ground range. So then you have to kind of account for the winds that are aloft making their way to the surface. I think we're easily still making at least 65, maybe 70 miles an hour. So
yeah,
that's just showing you the strength of this storm, that we're still having those winds translating to the ground at this point in time. The warning that did include southern Scott County, that was for 60 miles an hour, 60 mile per hour winds. But it wouldn't surprise me, given some of these more brighter pink into the yellows that you see there, especially closer to just south and east of Waldron, that maybe it is also exceeding about 65 mile per hour winds at times. So your reports are appreciated. Make sure that you're safe when you're doing so. So, of course, we got these two storms here. Southern Scott County has a warning now. So basically, the entirety except this very little sliver of Scott County is included in a warning at this point. This point in time.
Let me do this here real quick. Getting some text messages area-wide. I do want to reset. We've got some thunderstorms moving through northwest Arkansas. If you're waking up and you're wondering why is it thunder and what's going on out there, let me tell you this. Northwest Arkansas, you've got nothing to worry about this morning. Okay, there's some power outages, but that's lightning related, and there's just nothing severe with that aspect there. You've got some rain moving through, some lightning, some thunder, but nothing meeting the severe weather criteria. We get into the River Valley. That's where we've got issues. Got a text message from Tallahena. How are we looking there? You've got a strong thunderstorm moving through. It's got a lot of lightning with it, some heavy rain, and it's probably getting gusty, but we're not severe. Let's watch it to make sure it doesn't get severe, okay? We're not severe out there right now. The leading edge of this storm is where we would find the severe aspect. And that's right now moving into Johnson, Logan, and Scott counties. Several reports. I'm just going to read these in real time. Calming down now south of Ozark near Etna. Pea-sized hail, high winds north of Bonanza. Wind in Chisholmville about 65. That checks out. That's what we're measuring with our radar. Pea-sized hail about 5 minutes ago. Connor and Charleston wind speed definitely seems 60 to 70. Branches down nearby. Power out east of Lavaca. Okay, thank you so much for passing those reports along to us out there this morning. Right now, the current time's 5:15. Your 5 News this morning begins at 6 o'clock. We'll continue coverage at least until 6 o'clock this morning. Although I'll tell you, I don't know if we're going to have to. There's actually a good chance. In fact, let me walk that back. Let me take my foot out of my mouth real quick. This storm's moving so quickly that it's going to be out of our viewing area probably before 6 o'clock. We're probably going to take a few minutes to reset, take in all of your reports, get our show and our forecast ready. We'll be back here at 6 o'clock this morning, as always. Joshua will have your forecast, and we'll continue covering your damage reports as you get them throughout the course of the morning. Right now, though, we do have very intense winds moving through Johnson, Logan, and Scott counties, specifically Logan and Scott. I think that's where we're up to about 70 or so mile per hour winds, 60 to 70 minimally. In Johnson County, we're probably a little bit closer to 50 to 60 on the northern side of that cell. We've been talking a lot about the winds this morning, but the truth is there have been at times some hail mixing in. It's been a lot smaller as the line progressed across the Oklahoma-Arkansas state line. Once we got east of, let's say, Alma, Bloomer, Kibler, Lavaca, Greenwood, got a little bit further towards the east, we started seeing less 1 inch in diameter hailstones and more pea to penny, some of that marble size hail. That's been pretty consistent over the last little bit. Looks like we got here, I'm not sure where that one was. Okay, Hartman, front of the line is there in Hartman, 40 mile per hour winds in Hartman. That checks out with kind of what we're seeing in high winds, but not as intense as what we're seeing move through Logan and Scott County right now. It's that southern flank, and it's really easy to see when we put the wind mode on. When you look there in Johnson County, we'll start at the leading edge of this line. That's where we just got that 40 or so mile per hour report there from Coal Hill through Hartman. That's soon moving over towards Clarksville. Let's work our way down this line. Scranton, Morrison Bluff, Shoal Creek, Subiaco, Paris. High winds right now. That's going to be tracking towards Knoxville and Delaware, anywhere between Subiaco and Delaware along Highway 22 over the next several minutes. From Driggs to eastern Logan County, Blue Mountain and Magazine, Mount Magazine included. I can only imagine what those winds are like right now at Mount Magazine with that little bit of elevation up there. Scott County, the worst of the winds have now passed Waldron, moving into the Parks community, but it's still very windy in Waldron. So while the worst is past you, I think you're probably still dealing with some intense severe winds, at least as of the moment. Let's be mindful of that. I think we want to look at something in southern Lafleur County. I know we had a question about Tallahena, so I want to do something here real quick. Let's see. Looks like there's going to be a special weather statement for Latimer and southern Lafleur. What they're telling us there is that thunderstorm is not meeting the severe weather criteria, but it's a strong one. So if you're still with us there, from Heavener, Podo, Tallahena, the southern half of Lafleur, that's the situation that we're looking at right there. I want to recoup here. Southern severe is a peak of 60 with a northern severe including up to 70. Okay, Weather Service in Little Rock confirming kind of just what we're talking about, 70 mile per hour winds. That's unchanged, especially there in Logan and Scott counties. The thing is, we're moving quick. So it's going to get really intense, but it doesn't last too long. Longer than you would like. I hear you. I do. But it's not going to last too long. This one was moving at 60 the last time I checked. What are we at? Okay, we're down to 50. It is slowing down. It was at 70 for a little bit, but now we're down to 50 miles per hour. So I'll draw a track on the leading edge of that. We'll pull that out a little bit further. We'll draw some times on there. Havana at 522. Oh, you can't see that. Let me move it here. Clarksville at 527, Belleville at 528, Danville 532, Delaware at 536. We're talking the leading edge, where this is where the winds are going to get intense at these times. Russellville 548, and that extends well beyond our coverage area down into central Arkansas, but it's certainly going to cause problems for those folks there as well. I'm going to loop this for the last, I'm going to do just the last 2 hours. You can see the progression of the cell. Is it really intensified? If I see that, actually, Joshua, and I would welcome your opinion here. When you look at the loop, you can see it really intensifies Sequoia, Crawford, Sebastian, Lafleur counties. It's looking a little less organized than it was, maybe. That's fair to say. Still intense. I'm not going to negate that. Definitely still intense. Maybe not as organized as it once was. In fact, I'm not seeing as much lightning either. That's sometimes a telltale sign that maybe it's starting its downward trend. May take a while before we fall below severe limits, especially with winds up to 70 miles per hour, which I do think is still a real likelihood in Logan and Scott County right now.
Yeah, and I tend to agree with you on that. The other thing I wanted to highlight too is you just brought up the velocity signature. Notice it's not that more widespread area of those bright
pockets.
pinks into the yellows and some of those colors indicating 70. It's exactly what you mentioned, pockets, and that's some good news. So hopefully we're going to continue to see those pockets even decrease. Was just looking at some of the thermodynamics behind the scenes, just kind of looking to see what this would be headed into, and also taking a look. Seen some thunderstorm development. This is going to be well down the line, but already back near Tulsa. That may be our next round that we're going to see later in the morning. So we've got this activity moving through this morning. It's still gusty. It wouldn't surprise me if 60, maybe some pockets of 70. But it's looking a little bit more ratty. It's not as big complex-wise, but also just from the reflectivity standpoint, we're not consistently seeing those darker, indicators. With the heavy rainfall, doesn't look as intense. It's looking a little bit sloppier over the last couple of scans. So it wouldn't surprise me if maybe the next update we start to see this back off to maybe a 65, maybe 60 mile per hour wind potential. If these little pockets continue to decrease in the way that they are continuing to look. So it'd be great if it went down, just because, all these winds and stuff, we don't want to see any sort of damage. That's the last thing that we want to see, but definitely very intense line of storms this morning. But it looks like probably the strongest portion would be just some of these pockets that are making their way just outside of our county coverage area. But I'd say eastern Scott and southern Johnson County, where there's a little bit higher reflectivity values there.
Got a couple of things to pass along. Getting some reports out of Boonville that the worst is past. That's the good news for you folks there. Rain will continue for a little bit. Winds are going to come down. Paris is still quite intense for you. It's quite intense for the folks in Hartman, Coal Hill, Clarksville. That's tracking off towards the east. Had a report out of Scranton. Potentially a storm spotter there, potentially up to 75 miles per hour. Based on radar, honestly, I don't doubt it. In fact, that wind coming into Shoal Creek right now, that little pocket right there, I'm a little nervous to sample it. 75, yeah, it checks out. Radar's indicating it. We've got reports from the ground of storm spotters indicating it. I think it's a real possibility for us out there this morning. There in Shoal Creek, you got some more winds. A little bit closer to Spadra and getting into the Clarksville area. That's going to be translating over towards Knoxville and Delaware here real soon. There's Boonville, where we've got some reports that things are improving, but where you see those pockets of yellow, that's what I want you to notice. Now, those pockets of yellow now moving through Parks, soon to Blue Ball, that's where we've got those 60 to 70 mile per hour winds along Highway 80. 250, 80 over towards Blue Ball, that's where we probably have 70 mile per hour winds right now. We're talking straight line winds. That's going to do some damage. Let's do this. I also seen a little bit. My hillbilly is showing with the lack of sleep. I want to go back here and look at the hail. I saw that coming up there along the river bottoms in Scranton, Morrison Bluff, getting into Spadra right there. Doppler radar indicating potential hail. It's likely the size anywhere between pennies and it's pennies. Pennies and maybe upwards of quarters. The warning goes for quarters. Radar right now indicating probably a little bit less than that. I think the big concern that I've got right now remains the wind. It's coming up in Morrison Bluff right now. Let's do this. There's an incredible RDOT camera. I'm almost nervous to even look at what it sees right there on the bridge. I think that's like the longest bridge in Arkansas, right there along Highway 109. Okay, I was going to pull it up for you, and I think it's down. Well, yeah, it's frozen. I'll leave that up just in case it comes back. But right now, Morrison Bluff, Clarksville, Shoal Creek, up to 70 to 75 mile per hour straight line winds likely moving into the area. Folks in Clarksville, Knoxville, Delaware, here's what I would like you to do. This is going to sound scary, and I don't mean it to sound any scarier than it needs to be, and it's not my goal here. You might want to treat this as if it's a tornado warning, and by that I mean you might just want to go to the hallway, okay? Let's get away from those windows, especially west-facing windows, and put a couple of walls between you and the exterior as possible. We're talking some really intense straight line winds, and that can often do just as much damage, sometimes more than weak tornadoes, and that's the concern that we've got out there right now for you folks there. Especially right there in the river bottoms between Logan and Johnson County. That's going to be some really intense winds. Morrison Bluff, Shoal Creek, right along Highway 22, moving towards Delaware, Knoxville, Clarksville. Things are about to get really intense for you. What it looks like on radar, on rain mode, you can see the hail. It's some of those darker reds, maroons, and those purples right there. That's probably where the hail would be if there's any, and it does look like it might actually even be coming up at times. Nickel size right there, penny size along 109, penny size along 352. Okay, so imagine 70 to 75 mile per hour winds blowing those hailstones around. That can cause some damage. I mean, those hailstones essentially at that velocity become projectiles. And that's my concern for you right there. That's why I'm kind of indicating to you, you might want to go ahead and try to avoid some of those exterior walls and those windows if you could. Okay.
Yeah, definitely. And just sampling kind of behind the scenes, that to me looks to be the most intense part of this line of storms that we've got right now. Of course, some gusty winds all the way down towards just to the east of Waldron will be possible just because we have all these warnings in place, but just reflectivity wise and everything considering, this looks to be the strongest portion of the storm. It's a little bit healthier, it's not as sloppy, and you can see we've got these little pockets here of these up to maybe 70 mile per hour winds. There could be some strong winds also in southeastern, eastern Scott County too. We're talking 60, 65, but right now I think we're getting pockets of at least 70 mile an hour winds into portions of Johnson County, maybe even Logan County at this point. It'd be very southern Johnson County at this point, but definitely not the best way to wake up this morning. Still seeing all these winds, and as Scott mentioned just a little bit ago, when you have these damaging straight line winds, it can be equally as dangerous as a weak tornado. So you can consider this, or you can treat this like a tornado. It's probably best to do so, especially if you're in a mobile home, because one of the things that people tend to forget is if you're in a mobile home or even an RV or any sort of vehicle or portable home like that, sometimes when you start getting into the 70 mile per hour range or above, it can topple those over. So if you are in these locations, if you're in a mobile home, if you're in an RV, anything like that, you may ought to consider finding a shelter option just to get out of it and wait until it passes just to be completely safe. Not saying it's going to topple it over, but when we get these winds, it seems like we always tend to get some type of report of damage, with mobile homes when it comes to these intense straight-lined winds. So that's just another thing to highlight there, just to be completely safe. If you can find sturdy shelter elsewhere just to get away from these strong damaging winds, it is probably best to do so, just to get out of those winds.
If you want to handle that one there, Joshua, some estimated times of arrival. This is for the segment, only the segment moving through portions of Johnson and into Pope County.
Yeah, and we can take me full screen just for a minute, and we'll go ahead and highlight kind of what we're talking about
Winds
here.
now in Hartman up to 65.
Okay, so yeah, we are not going anywhere yet, still having these, unfortunately, damaging straight line winds there. So Lamar at around right now, so it's already on top of you. Same with the middle school. Knoxville basically already there as well. We're eventually going to make our way into Holman around 5:35, so that's just under 5 minutes at this point. We're talking Lutherville around 5:37, London at 5:38. Let's see, Power Plant at 5:41, Bullfrog Valley at 5:42. Eventually, if it makes its way into the area, we're talking St. Mary's Regional Medical Center, Russellville, kind of around that 5:48 time frame, Center Valley as well. So pretty intense storm that we've got going on here still. It's looking a little bit less defined further to the south, but we still have this very strong segment in portions of Johnson and Logan County, and this is what we've been talking about. It's no longer that widespread potential for the damaging straight line winds of up to 70. Notice it's these little pockets here. Now, these areas in pink are still likely seeing 60, 65, but we're starting to get into those bright pinks and into those yellows. That's when we're probably seeing those pockets of up to 70. And notice, they're not very big. They're probably a couple of mile stretches where we go from 50 to 60, and then we start getting into that 70 category. So intense winds here. And the good news is this is going to start to leave our area here momentarily. So at least for our viewers, we got just a couple minutes left with this. Unfortunately for viewers outside of this and some of our communities that are neighboring us in the Little Rock market, this activity is going to eventually be their problem. And unfortunately, it looks like it's continuing to be an issue. This pocket right here, just to the west of Delaware, we sampled that a second ago. That was still in that 70 mile per hour range. And notice it's just a couple miles of this little pocket of wind here. And you can actually kind of see it bowing out there just a tiny bit. Where it looks like an inflow notch, but that to me still looks like some intense winds on the leading edge of this system. So we've got that going on. We'll get this out of our coverage area here in just probably less than a half hour or so with the worst of it, especially at the speed that it's moving at. And then you see northwest Arkansas, it's loud. There is all sorts of lightning activity. There's power outages likely from the lightning as well, but notice nothing severe. Nothing to worry about. Of course, the lightning is going to be unnerving just because, it's northwest Arkansas and the River Valley, and it seems like we never really get those peaceful thunderstorms. We'll get a couple of, nice peaceful rumbles if you're sleeping, and then you'll get the one that, throws you out of bed because it's so loud. So we've got that going on this morning. And then eventually down the line, this isn't anything to worry about right now, but we're probably not done for the day either. Starting to see some activity making its way closer to our northeast Oklahoma counties. Not severe, but we do have the potential for maybe a couple different rounds today of thunderstorm activity. Some could be strong to severe, so we're going to be keeping an eye on any of that activity firing out to the west. But in the meantime, this is all we've got right now. Intense line of storms. The worst of it looks to be, at least on radar, Johnson, Logan County, where there's still some winds anywhere between 60 to 70 mile per hour right now. Good news is that hail does not look as intense as it was. So, in fact, I checked Echo Tops just a second ago, Scott, and just to let you know, we're no longer into that significant range of, updraft height where it would be indicating anything in terms of large hail. So it looks like those updrafts have not gone up or maintained their strength. So I would say at least maybe P to nickel-sized hail would be probably the max at this point.
Let me do this. Let me back up here. Let's put our phone number up. A lot of folks probably just getting around, trying to figure out what kind of damage they're looking at. 479-785-5000. That's our direct number here at the station. If you could include your location, what you've experienced, what potential damage you might have. Please don't put yourself at risk. Your safety is important to me. But if you can, safely let us know what's happened in your neck of the woods. We're approaching the expiration of at least one of these warnings for our viewing area. The leading edge, the most severe portions have moved out of most of the area. So we're only talking probably at this rate about 10 or 15 more minutes. Our regularly scheduled newscast will begin on time at 6 o'clock this morning. At that point, these storms will definitely be out of our viewing area. I want to stay here for a little bit longer until we can definitively say that the severe storms have passed off towards the east. And I don't think That's going to be much longer. I think that's probably going to be in the next 10 to 15 minutes. With that said, when we look into Johnson and Logan County, I'm still seeing some very intense winds, especially there in Knoxville, Delaware. You're probably seeing the 60 to 70 mile per hour straight line winds right now. Hold on. That's not going to last long, but it is going to be intense for the next several minutes. In addition to that, you might have some small hail mixing in there as well. When we look back into portions of Scott County, still being impacted, the south and east part of the county there, south and east of Waldron, you've still obviously got a pocket of some wind there as well. Likely up to 50 to 60 or so miles per hour. Winds are going to be calming down there as this storm continues to slowly progress off towards the south and east. When you look at it just on rain mode, what we want to see, or what we are seeing, I should say, is it's the leading edge of this Boeing segment where you would expect those high winds. Radar's confirming that there as well. Power is out in Clarksville, very high winds. I do believe about 74, don't know for sure. Intense winds in Jamestown, vicious winds in Clarksville, power outage on the west side of town. I'm afraid that is going to continue to be the case for Johnson County for the next couple of minutes. We go back in there, velocity signatures still continuing to read anywhere between, on the low end 50, but closer to 70 for certainly the Knoxville, Lamar communities. You get up towards Hagerville, not necessarily the case. Ludwig, you're getting close. You're probably 50 to 60. You're definitely severe. There's no question about it. It's where you find these really bright pixels, and I know we're zoomed way in, and you're thinking, boy, that's so pixelated. That's just some high quality data. And when we sample a couple of those, I'm cherry picking it, but I'm looking for the highest quality there. 70 mile per hour straight line winds, likely moving through Hickeytown, Scotia, getting ready to move over into Pope County and London right now as well. You go back a little bit further towards the south in Delaware. Hold on, it's getting better slowly. I know you probably don't believe me at the moment, but those winds in Delaware now down to about 55. It was about 75, so we're making some slow progress there. To the south of Delaware, if you live along south of 22 from the Delaware community, what's that road right there? Spring Lake Road. That's where we probably still have 60, upwards of 70 mile per hour straight line winds moving through the area there. When we look at the hail, that's kind of the 1-2 punch here. The hail has been large there, especially in between Johnson and Logan County. Scott, 60 to 70 mile per hour winds in Clarksville. It's crazy. I believe you. I'm getting words like vicious, intense, crazy. I believe you. And radar's confirming everything you're experiencing right now. You think about it. Hurricane force winds start at 74 miles per hour, and there's a good chance some folks are experiencing that. Category 1 hurricanes start at 74 mile per hour wind gust. There's a good chance folks in Johnson and Logan County, parts of the area, are experiencing that. I don't think it's everybody, but everybody has seen some severe wind this morning, unfortunately. So it is moving quickly, not as quick as it was, but it is moving quickly out of the area. So just hold on, bear down with me for a few more minutes, and I think we'll scoot this storm off towards the east right there. This is what it looks like on rain mode. You want to look on the leading edge. Yeah, sometimes our eyes are drawn to the reds and the purples. That's where the heaviest rain is. That's where the largest hailstones are, but it's going to be on the leading edge of that line that you find those straight line winds coming out from underneath the leading edge of that storm. Several trees down along Highway 96 at Ben Ridge Road, just outside of Greenwood. Also Elmwood Road, Wright Hill Road intersection got really windy there. That report coming in from a trusted source. Power outages west side of Clarksville, several trees down, that coming in there as well. Danville, power out due to high winds, no estimated wind speeds. So this storm continues. It's not weakened, I'm afraid. And the only good news I can tell you right now is that it's almost over. It's almost moving over into Pope and Yell counties, which is technically outside of our coverage area this morning. So that's what I can tell you. Rain's going to continue on the backside of the system, and it possibly could continue to be a little bit breezy out there as well. I know we've had some thunder in northwest Arkansas, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but when you look back towards Tulsa, you can see some additional thunderstorms developing in that part of the world. Those when we look at a 1-hour radar loop, is going to show that those are also moving towards the east-southeast. So those will inevitably be moving into northwest Arkansas. We'll have to see if they don't back build in a fashion that would bring additional storms into the river valley. Those could potentially be severe. I think the odds there are a little bit less with those, but it is important to point out that we do have a level 2 potential of severe storms today across most of the area there in yellow. So we're not going to be entirely done. There's going to be some on and off, very hit or miss additional thunderstorms this afternoon, even into this evening as well. Some of those this morning. So it's not going to rain and storm all day long everywhere, but it is going to be a chance of on and off storms throughout the course of all day, if that makes sense. I hope it does. Here's live radar right now. We'll go back into Johnson County, where winds are rather intense, likely between 60 and 70 miles per hour, especially on the east side of Clarksville right now. Power outages reported in Clarksville as that storm moved through. The worst part is now moving into the London community. Augsburg, London, over towards Dover, winds 60 to 70 miles per hour. Looks like the leading edge has now left Delaware, crossing over into Pope and Yell County. I want to sample the winds in Delaware. Where are we at? Okay, we're down to 51, so it was 55. And so it's improving slowly but surely. We get into Scott County. It's slowly but surely pushing off to the Blue Ball community there as well along Highway 80. That segment there has actually been moving a little bit slower than the northern flank of the line. This one's taken a little bit longer to get out of Scott County, which is somewhat interesting to me. In fact, that southern warning there that includes Parks, that's going to run until 6 a.m. Take me a second to find it there. Okay, trees and power outages noted west of Clarksville. Okay.
And something else to highlight for Scott County too. I've been looking at some power outage reports back here. Pretty much 20% of the county is without power at this point.
Okay.
So we're almost at about 11. We're almost at 1,200 power outages in Scott County.
Okay. Could you give us some power outage reports for elsewhere, especially Sebastian and Crawford?
Yeah, so looking at the power outages, right now Franklin County is sitting at around 527 power outages. Sebastian County sitting at around 4,000 outages at this point in time. Crawford County, we're currently sitting at almost 1,200 outages at this point in time. Logan County, right around 231. I do expect, unfortunately, with the next update that may be higher. LaFleur County, almost to 4,000 power outages last update. And we're just around 700 power outages in Sequoia County at this point. So another update, too. Good news for Northwest Arkansas. It looks like the power outages are limited, or at least being knocked off the board for Washington County, currently at around 100 compared to that 3,000 almost that we saw earlier. Madison County's at 200, and then Carroll County, it looks like maybe a lightning issue. We're up to 2,000 outages with the update literally about 30 seconds ago. So Carroll County looks like there's quite a bit of outages out there. No storms, but it wouldn't surprise me if that may be lightning related.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. Okay, current time here is 5:43. We're going to stay on this stream for 2 more minutes. The severe aspect has now really exited the viewing area. You've got some gusty winds continuing in Johnson County. Things are improving for you there. I think you would all collectively agree with that. Heavy rain is going to continue. You might even see a little bit of some flooding on the streets out there a little bit. Our 6 o'clock newscast begins there at 6 o'clock this morning. So we're going to take that 15 minutes, reset everything here, reset all of our computer systems, give it a break for a hot second. We're going to touch up on the forecast. There's some additional severe storms in the forecast today. I've got some concerns about tomorrow. Okay, I need to be really transparent with you this morning. I'll show you this while we're waiting on a little bit more data to come in. This is going to be the severe weather outlook for tomorrow. While you were asleep overnight before Mother Nature woke you up, the Storm Prediction Center upgraded the entire viewing area to a level 3 out of 5 potential for severe storms on your Monday. We're talking really Monday afternoon into the evening, potentially into the late evening and night hours there as well. All hazards look to be potentially possible, including tornadoes, large hail, and damaging winds. So we're going to take a much deeper dive into that coming up. Josh was going to 6 o'clock. Of course, our morning newscast runs until 8 o'clock this morning. We'll have additional briefings. I'm going to schedule those for 5+ this evening. So look for those. Of course, look for those on our website and mine and Joshua's Facebook pages there as well. We got to take this thing one day at a time. We get into this time of the year and you get these multi-day severe weather setups, and it's just best to take it one day at a time. So that's what we're doing. We're going to focus on this severe thunderstorm warning. We'll stay here for about, let me just give this one more look. Let me check all the data. In downtown area, Clarksville, we still have power. That's some good news. Still have power there. There's a lot of folks that right now are without power, and this stream has been your only source for severe weather. I'm only ending the stream because that potential for additional severe weather has diminished. It's moved off towards the east, and we're going to be in okay shape with regards to the next few hours at least. We'll see what happens back towards Tulsa. So I'm not leaving you hanging. I'm not leaving you with an impending threat. Okay, I wouldn't do that. None of us here would do that. But we are going to return Channel 5 back to regularly scheduled programming. Of course, 5 News this morning begins in 15 minutes.
Live on 5 News and streaming on 5 Plus, this is a Weather Impact Alert.